Hey guys, my name is Brent, and one of the biggest problems that I see with people on their websites is they can't edit them. They don't know how to, they don't know where to put things, it's not easy. They say, my web designer doesn't let me change anything. And so I have a plugin for WordPress called Beaver Builder. It is the best thing ever. It is my favorite thing. These guys have done such a good job, and I want to demo it for you now. So let's take a look.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. What I want to show you guys how to do is to build out a homepage layout. This page is really nothing crazy. We have kind of a hero section at the top with our call to action. We have a little bit of an intro block. This is just placeholder. We have a little block about accommodations with a circular picture. Again, we're putting calls to action in each of these spots. And then we have a little get started section with a nice kind of watermarked or a faded photograph background. So let's look at how we do this in Beaver Builder. Now I'm going to create a brand new page and we'll call it Demo Homepage. So let's go ahead and click the Page Builder tab. We'll think about it for a second and launch us into Page Builder. So at this point we are on the front side of the website. Beaver Builder is a front side page builder, and what it's going to do is it's going to ask us, how do we want to start our page? Do we want to start with a layout that we have, or do we want to start with a blank? And so this is a good time to look at the layout templates. So what we're looking at right now, these are my templates. These are templates I've saved. There's always a blank, and then I happen to have saved a copy of our homepage layout. But if you go up here to this drop-down box, Beaver Builder includes a bunch of layouts for you. We have home pages, we also have some content pages. So there are some great options in here for galleries, for blog pages, things like that, pricing page. So take a look at those. But let's flip back over here because we actually want to start with a blank. Okay, so it has given us a blank box, and you can see that the header of the site is defined by our theme. That's not an area that Builder's going to touch, and so is the footer, but everything in the middle, in this box, it's up to us to change. So let's take a look at our original homepage. So the first section is this hero, this big green area. So let's see, how do we do that? So we actually have a couple modules here that I'm going to drag out. I'm going to go into basic modules, and I'm going to get a heading. And our tagline here was a vacation spot, dogs jump for. So let's go ahead and just put, brought up Spotlight, go ahead and put that in. Great. And you'll notice immediately it doesn't look like we expected. We're going to get into that. We have some styling to do. But the other part is this button. We have a little button item here. So let's go ahead and add content again and go to advanced modules, and we're going to bring a button. And our button says, call us to get started. This may not be exactly what our demo showed, but you get the idea. We can also, buttons are great because Beaver Builder includes Font Awesome and a couple other icon fonts for us. So if we want an icon next to our message, it can either be before or after our text, and it makes buttons look really great. So I'm going to choose this little arrow guy. It's nice and slim. You can always pull the settings screen over to the side if you want to see what you're working with. So in this case, we have a button, and our arrows before our text. We actually want to change it to be after. So there we go. And for now, I'm not going to worry about linking this. I'm just going to put a hash in here, but you should know that you can just hit this select box, and if you're trying to link to pages within your site, which is the most common way, you can just start typing. So if I had a boarding page here, I might want to link to that. That'd be great. More likely, this is a call button, so probably what I'm going to do here is put a telcolon link to a phone number like that. So we can leave that alone. Really what we want to do here is fix our styling to look a little bit more like what we're after here. But first, before I do that, I want to set up our background. So I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go up to the row settings. It's this little wrench guy on the row that Beaver Builder put in there for us. We're going to open up our row settings, And we have this, if you go back to our original, we have this, this background. It's a photographic background with a color. So let's go down here to background type, choose photo, and now it's going to let us select a photo from our library. So let's open that up, and you'll see you get the built-in WordPress media library, so you can choose things just like you normally would. I'm going to choose that photograph. Since it's my demo, I get to use my Beagle. That's Bentley. And we're going to put a color overlay so that we can see our text. I'm actually going to, I know that 50% is not going to be enough. I'm going to bump it up to 70, and then I'm going to choose a color. So for some reason, it always defaults to this red palette. It's kind of goofy, but really the color we want is going to be up in there somewhere, and we're going to slide over to kind of a sort of teal, seafoamy green color right in there. The other thing that we're going to do so that we don't have to go and set the text color on each and every one of our items inside is we're going to set the text color for the row to be white, and you can see our heading just changed to white. Okay, so let's save that. Now let's go and grab our heading. What we want to do is make it bigger. So we're going to go to the Style tab, and we want to change this to be an H1 because obviously it's the first thing on our page. We want to make a big statement on our site. And so it's an H1. We want to make sure that it's centered. And I think we're going to go and choose a different font for this. Let's look and see what font we have over here because I honestly don't remember. So I'm going to inspect element on this area and take a quick look. Big Shot 1, that's the font we're using for our heading. So Beaver Builder's nice enough to include Google Fonts for us that we don't actually have to enqueue. Now normally you would define the fonts you're going to use in your theme, but sometimes you just want to make a page and maybe you haven't written a theme or maybe your theme doesn't have the font you want. Just be mindful of it that you don't end up with a bunch of different fonts scattered across your site. But this is a convenient little feature for choosing fonts. It's also great for just testing them. So if you don't know what font you're going to use yet, this is a great way you can jump down the list, find what you're after, and then go into your style sheet for the whole site and add it to the different places where your display font might be showing. The other thing I'm going to do here is up our font size because that is not nearly big enough. Let's see what 60 looks like. And so let's come back to our button. Let's open up its settings. Go to Style. And first of all, let's get it centered. Thinking about it. There we go. And I'm going to switch the style to transparent. Now this is a little bit of a misnomer. The labeling on this is kind of strange. Transparent allows you to have a button that effectively doesn't have a background, but oddly enough, in order to get a border around it, you actually do have to specify a background color. So this is kind of weird. Just imagine that this says border color instead of background color when you go into transparent style. That looks pretty good. I think our button could be a little bit bigger. So maybe let's bump our font size to 20. And let's bump our padding to maybe 18. Yeah, that's not bad. You can always come back and finesse that. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and move on down the page to our next section. So we have this very common situation where you have a little bit of text, you have an action, and you want to have a visual next to it. So I'm just going to copy this text. And let's go ahead and add content, and we're going to drag on, we're going to go up to our row layouts. We're going to drag on a 2-column row, and be very mindful of where the blue box is saying it's going to go. We actually want to drag an entire new row out. But if you wanted your 2 columns inside your hero, you can see you can put them pretty much anywhere you want. So let's drop that. Okay, so we have 2 boxes now, and let's grab a text editor, and we're going to drop that inside our column. And paste that text in. Great. Now we want to fill up our second box. I'm going to go over to Photo, and drop it in the other side. And it's going to allow us to select the photo we want. So we have a stock photo here that we purchased, and we're going to put that in. And it's going to load it for us. There we go. The other thing is we want an action down below. And we could go and pull out another generic button, but I've already done some styling work on this one up here. So I'm actually going to go and click the duplicate button on the button, actually. And we're going to pull this duplicated copy right down here. Of course, now we can't see it because it's white. So let's go change the color of our button. And we want to change both our background color, which in this case is our border, and we want to change our text color. And as soon as it catches up, there we go. Now we can see our button. Now it's pretty big because it was, it was sized for our hero. So let's go and just pull back on our font size and our padding. There you go, little button. And one of the great things about Beaver Builder columns is they're draggable. So we can actually grab this and find a size, and that one's not working. We can actually, there we go. We can kind of get it to where our height evens out in a nice way so that everything just kind of sits next to each other. And then later when the client, sleeps again and they come back to you and go, I really want twice as much text there, and you're like, oh great, now I have to redo everything. Well, in fact you don't, because we can just put in our text and okay, well that one's a little tough. It gets pretty big before it evens out. But you can see, you can get a nicer balance. You're not always going to be able to do it exactly to balance your text, but you can get it close enough to where it looks good. And that's the point, really. You want your layout to always look good, no matter what changes need to be made. So that's our second row. That really didn't take very much effort. So then our next row is just this accommodations text. It's actually the same thing we just did, it's just reversed. So I'm going to copy this. And let's do the same thing. Let's go down here and drag 2 columns. And there we go. That's where we want. We want an entirely new row. Because, as you saw, that row had gray in the background. And so if I had put 2 columns inside the same row as I had before, I wouldn't be able to style them separately. So, be careful where you're putting your columns. This one had a photo over here. And let's go and select our photo. I had my yawning beagle. There he is. Let's throw him in here. Because I think that was the photo we used. Nope, it was actually a different yawning beagle. Okay, well I take a lot of pictures of Bentley, so I get confused sometimes. Let's go get... Here it is. And when you're putting in photos, do be mindful of this size box. I'm not paying a great deal of attention to it right now, but obviously this spot on the page is not 2400 pixels across, and so I'm loading a massive image into this spot. I really want to size this down, but I do that last. So I'm just going to choose the large size right now because that's plenty for the spot we're using, and it's the closest one that isn't too small. So I've got him there, but as you can see in our layout here, it's a circle. Well, Beaver Builder gives you a lovely little crop tool here, and so this is great for just figuring out, hey, would this photo look better as a square? Or would it look better, really wide? In this case, I'm going to choose a circle, and it's going to do that for us. There we go. It's a circle. It's a big old circle. There's also a nice little feature down here if we go to link type. So if we wanted to link our image to another page, that'd be great, but we can also just choose Lightbox. So when I click on it, it'll blow up and let me see the full image. I'm going to save that, and let's go pop in our text box. Get another text editor block. Paste in the text that we had from before. Alright, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go and duplicate our button from before so we don't have to restyle anything. And just drag it right down here. Okay, so now let's just do the same thing with our columns. Let's grab it and just size it down. so that it makes sense. Looks awesome. Okay, so the last thing was, if you notice that column, that row on the other page had light gray in the background. So let's go to background in the row settings. Choose a color. But we can just go in here to our picker and grab that color. So let's hit save. And we just have one section left. We have this little triple block down here with ready to get started over the top of it and a button. So let's go and pull in, bet you never guessed this, oh my gosh, a 3-column layout. I'm going to drop that down here. And this is really a nice thing. So we know that we have 3 columns for the 3 blocks, but as you saw, there was a heading over the top of it. I don't have to put my modules inside those columns. I can actually put it up above and have it span the entire three columns below it. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to switch over to style and make sure it's an H2 instead of an H3. Defaults to H3, and I'm going to center it. Hit save. There's our ready to get started, and now we're going to pop a text editor in here. While it's thinking about it, I'm going to go grab some lorem ipsum text. There we go, about that much. Paste that in. Great. And because this is just a demo, I am going to duplicate that block 2 more times. Drag that over here. 1 more time. Awesome. And the last thing is just to drag down our button now. This section is going to end up being white. And so what I want to do before we mess with the button is go ahead and set up our background with white text. So let's go over to our row settings. And we're going to make our text white because we know we're going to have a dark background. And we're going to choose background photo. Select our photo, and there is our Beagle picture. And then of course we want to be able to actually read our text, so let's put an overlay color. Again, I don't know why it defaults to red each time, but it does. Kind of a green-ish, why not? And we'll bump that up to maybe 70, maybe even 80. Looks pretty good. We get a little bit of texture in our background. That's really all we're going for. And then let's pull our button in. I'm going to do the exact same thing as before. I'm going to duplicate our previous button so I don't have to keep creating them from scratch. Drag this down, and just like the heading, I want it to span all 3 columns. There we go. Now it's not picking up our color, so let's open it up. And in this case, the row is already specifying white is the text color, so I just have to release that color, and that will take care of the text. There we go. And then we do want to set our background color to white so that our border reflects it as well. There you go. That's really all there is to it.
Okay, so that's Beaver Builder in a nutshell. I hope that kind of helped you understand what it can do. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot of details, but the point is it can help you create layouts fast, and it can help you take your existing content and kind of let the layout grow organically around the content, and that's a pretty cool thing. Go get yourself a copy. The link will be below. And don't forget to thumbs up the video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel because there will be more of this, more Beaver Builder, more lots of other things, more bending. Anyway, that's all for today. Bye guys. Squirrel.